was pronounced dead on arrival. The other two, they were wet, drenched in water, difficulty in breathing, having respiratory distress. So the health workers on duty managed to resuscitate. They was put on oxygen, gave some medications, and thankfully they got well and they were discharged yesterday.
And we also understand that some people, some of them who were brought here, but they were dead. How many do you have in your morgue now?
Yeah, so currently we have 12 bodies, all confirmed dead.
12 bodies all confirmed dead.
Yes.
And 2 have been treated and discharged.
Yes.
From your interaction with the community members, do you get a sense that they'll be bringing more of these people?
Yeah, in fact, as we speak, from the information gathered, we can't really pinpoint, we can't be sure on the number that got drowned, but I'm told rescuers are still on their mission, and then hopefully we should be able to find more.
And you heard Dr. Caleb Maltod, he's the medical director at the St. Luke's Hospital in Apam, speaking to my colleague Jema Apia, who joins us now via phone to give us more details on what's happening there. Hello, Jema.
Hello, Kari.
So you've been in the town for some hours now. First of all, just tell us, what's the mood like in the town after they've lost 12 residents, teenagers for that matter?
So the residents here at Apam are aware of the incident and they are in a state of shock. According to community leaders, this has never happened before, and rescue mission is ongoing. They're expecting, they don't even know the number of people who got drowned, and so they are still on standby to see if the sea will just wash ashore some of the bodies which are still in the sea. But that's the situation here at Apam. People are aware of the situation and they are shocked as to where. Now, as you heard me speak to Dr. Caleb Mautojonu, the 2 people who were brought in, a few of them were brought here alive, but 2 were treated and discharged. The last one, unfortunately, could not make it. He was pronounced dead upon arrival, and some 12 bodies are in the morgue here at St. Luke Catholic Hospital in Apam.
Jema, and tell us about these 2 that have been treated and discharged. Are they males? Are they females?
These are males. So we understand that it is something that they usually do. They go to the sea on Sunday, something that they call Sunday special, to have fun. But they have been constantly warned by community leaders not to do so. So this time around, they decided to go to the far end of the sea just to have fun, swim in the water and all of that. And unfortunately, this incident happened. They do not know the number of people who got drowned. Even though we know that 12 of them have been pronounced dead, they are at the morgue, but they are still around, looking forward to retrieving more bodies from the sea. But 2 of the people who got saved or survived the incident, they have been discharged. These are 2 males.
Gemma, finally, before you go, you earlier mentioned that residents are still in shock and they say nothing of this nature has ever happened. From what you're gathering, does it seem like they see this as a superstitious accident as well?
Yes, according to community leaders that I spoke to, they had been warned from the fetish priest of the area that this thing was going to happen, and that's why they were constantly telling these young men and women not to go near the sea, to even swim, especially on Sundays, because of the unusual ritual that they have, the Sunday special, where they all gather there, swim in the sea and have fun. But even on Sunday, when they went there, these young men and women went there. They were told to leave. They were stuck, but they managed to find their way beyond that, the area that they were even told not to swim. They went into the farthest of the sea, and this happened. So it was just one gentleman who was going to defecate around that area who saw that these 3 who were brought to the hospital were drowning, called in the community members, and they were able to retrieve these 3. And then subsequently, they were seeing dead bodies of the other people being washed ashore. And that's how come we have 12 bodies at the morgue now.
Thank you very much, Jema Pia. And that's my colleague, Jema Pia, reporting live from the Central Region of Palm, to be precise, on the latest story where 12 teenagers drowned on Sunday. So far, 2 have been treated and discharged. Meanwhile, the police is assuring that it won't relent in its efforts to find enclosure for the families. DSP Irene Apong is the public relations officer for the Central Regional Police.
From 8 p.m. on the 7th of March 2021 to today, 8th March 2021, the search team have retrieved 12 bodies from the sea, made up of 2 females and 10 males, and the ages ranges between 14 to 17 years, and the bodies have been deposited at St. Luke Catholic Hospital, Apam, waiting for autopsy examination to be done. Investigations are ongoing.
You heard DSP Irene Apong, who is the Central Regional Police Public Relations Officer.
Well, as to other stories, and in about an hour, President Akufo-Addo is expected to present the State of the Nation's address in Parliament. Top of the president's agenda will be a robust recovery plan for the nation's economy as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah has been giving more details on the president's address, which was expected to begin at 1 p.m. Later on Friday, March 12, the 2021 budget statement is expected to be delivered on the floor of Parliament by the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah Bonsu. Some members of the public have been sharing their expectations ahead of the president's address later this afternoon. But speaking on a Asaase breakfast show, Head of Law Center's Faculty of Law at Gempa, Dr. Kweku Ajiman-Budu, says he expects President Akufo-Addo to detail government's economic recovery plan for the country as the economy has been hit severely by the coronavirus pandemic.
State of the Nation address that the president is scheduled to deliver at 1 p.m. today, economic recovery should be the immediate priority of the government. And this is because of the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic, as we already know, has had a devastating impact or effect on our economy. It has significantly, for instance, slowed down economic growth in the past year, and our GDP, for instance, has taken a hit. I was listening to Candid Voice on Sunday, and there was one of the panelists who I believe delves into economic policy, painted a dark picture in terms of what COVID-19 has actually done to our GDP and our growth generally in terms of our economy.
Executive Director of Kandifu Institute, Palgrave Dankwa, in his opinion, also expects the president to channel a general focus on what he promised to Ghanaians that won him the bid for a second-term administration. He also spoke on Asaase Breakfast Show.
Well, I mean, when people give you an opportunity to lead the country, you need to be able to deliver, I mean, regardless of the storming issues that would arise. And we've gone 3 months into the year. Typically, there are just about maybe 9 months more left. 9 more months for the year to go to a closure. What can be achieved within that 9 months? I mean, objectively, I'm sure that government has done their SWOT analysis to be able to deliver to us because President has 4 more years, I mean, to be able to bring his tenure to an end. And then we go into an election. And so all of these factors come to play. Right. And so for me, a general focus on what he promised to the good people of this country that won him the bid on the 7th of December 2020 is critical. Right. Also an inward looking, especially because of the fact that, I mean, COVID has hit everybody globally.
And that was the Executive Director for the Kandifu Institute, Palgrave Dankwa. Let's now go to Parliament and speak to our correspondent there. Philip, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so Philip, what can you report from where you are? It was supposed to come off at 1 p.m. How is preparation so far?
Okay, so preparation is currently underway for the State of the Nation address. The official time that has been communicated to us is 2 p.m. So it's expected that from 2 p.m. that address will be made through the nation, through Parliament. And we know that this is actually the first of the second term of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, but this will be his 8th State of the Nation address to the nation through Parliament as well. And the President is acting in accordance with Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution, which states that the President shall, at the beginning of each session of Parliament and before the dissolution of Parliament, deliver to Parliament a message on the state of the nation. So that is the legal premise with which that will be happening. And we know that the last time the President delivered his State of the Nation address was actually on 5th January 2021, which was also in line with the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 842 of the Constitution, following the end of his first term in office. So ahead of that particular address, there are a number of registrations and also some comments, and it's expected to address all sectors of the economy and how far we have come, and also some projections to be made from the conversation around. It's mainly largely also going to touch on how the nation can come out of the COVID-19 adverse effects successfully to push the economy as well. And it's also expected that the President would also touch on the verdict on the election petition that was also delivered recently by the Supreme Court of Ghana. But then also, I must say that as part of the arrangement, the address will not be happening in the main chamber or the original chamber. You remember or you recall that prior to the inauguration of the President's second term, there was a makeshift tent that was erected in the presence of Parliament, and subsequently Parliament has held its sitting there as part of measures to actually deal with the coronavirus pandemic, because it's more spacious, and so that is where the address would actually be taking place. As I speak to you now, we have a lot of dignitaries from the diplomatic circles, from the traditional circles, and all walks of life actually making their way, and they are going through the protocols, the COVID protocols that have been set up, and then also being directed or allocated to their seats accordingly.
Philip, so finally, before you go, let's gauge the mood of particularly the members of Parliament there from both sides. Have they been speaking, or have you been speaking to any of them ahead of the address and their expectations they've been sharing with you?
Okay, so usually when the President comes to Parliament, you can expect a number of drama, and usually you can't also predict until it happens. And we've even had occasions where one faction or one group actually sits out or does not participate as well. But I have seen both members from the political divide here in Parliament around, and some of which have even made their way to the chamber. So a lot of them, depending on which side, will say the expectant that they will be touching on some areas. But I must also say that key among what the members of the minority will be looking out for is whether what the President says will be the true reflection of the state of the nation as well. So that is the mood around here. And so we are waiting to see whether there will be actual drama when the President is going to speak, as usually characterizes his appearance in the House.
Philip, thank you very much for your time here. We'll come back to you when the address is done or in the course of the President's address. And that was my colleague, Philip Asiao. He's our parliamentary correspondent. But what do Ghanaians also look out for as the President speaks on the state of the nation? Asaase News took to the streets to speak to a cross-section of members of the public to gauge their expectation.
Okay, I'll talk about our education system now. Apparently now our education system is poor. Talking of the senior high school level, with the SHS, the batches that they've been going, I think it's a problem now, and it's something they should look at. And I think I have to talk about the lights house issue now. The lights house is back again. So I think you should tell us whether the doom toy is coming back to the system again.
Okay, I'm expecting so much from the President, but the highlights of it should be on health, education, and then the economy. In health, I want him to take us through what the state is doing to make sure that we all feel safe. We all feel safe in the country, and as well the vaccine especially.
Well, we are expecting nothing but programs geared towards the development of this country. And we believe that job creation has always been on the minds of every Ghanaian, because we know that joblessness has become a problem for us.
We had some members of the public on their expectations ahead of the President's State of the Nation address, which is expected to come off anytime soon.
You're still listening to the Lunch News. Let's now do some stories related to COVID-19 because the Food and Drugs Authority has warned against the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines online following the seizure of fake vaccines in South Africa. Now, this warning was contained in a statement released by the FDA. And my colleague Tina Moses-Sam joins us in studio with more details on this statement. So, Tina, what's the reason or why did the FDA release a statement warning against the buying vaccines online?
Okay, Karen, in Ghana, there are only 2 vaccines that have been approved, and they are the Sputnik 5 and then the Covishield vaccines, and they are under the control of the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service solely. Mm-hmm. So this alert has become necessary as a result of the reports of the seizure of the fake COVID-19 vaccines in South Africa. I think last week, police arrested 4 suspects in connection with hundreds of COVID-19 vaccines, and so therefore the FDA is wishing to caution the public that the online advertisement offering of sale and supply of medicinal products, including the COVID-19 vaccines, are strictly prohibited. So they should not purchase any COVID-19 vaccines online. The public and then the courier services, including the shippers and freight forwarders, are further cautioned that any unauthorized imports of vaccines will be in contravention of the Section 118 of the Public Health Act, and then the FDA's guidelines for emergency use authorization of medical products.
And what about a warning? What about people who see or sense any suspicious activities going around as vaccinations?
Yes, so the public is advised to report to the FDA any suspicious activity relating to the advertising and then offering of sale and supply of COVID-19 vaccines and then any other related products. So the public is saying that you should put your confidence in the FDA. It will be a unanimous decision. You will not be exposed that I came to report or you came to report that so and so is selling this COVID-19 vaccines. You will not be held responsible. All that they are saying is that let them know, let them get the information that there's fake drug being sold elsewhere. And then on their social media handles, you can also report it to them on the 055111224. And then they have the Facebook handle to at FDA Ghana _. They also have the Twitter FDA Ghana, and then their email address fda@fda.gov.gh. You can put all these social handles into place when you want to report any of these vaccines. Yes.
Thank you very much, Tina Moses-Sam, giving us details on the latest statement from the Food and Drugs Authority warning against the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines online. Now, still on the vaccines, and the Ghana Health Service has allayed fears that there's a shortage of the COVID-19 vaccines. This comes after checks by Asaase News that some vaccination centers showed no signs of service. Some of the centers, including the Adabaka Polyclinic, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, the Ghana Journalist Press Center, and the forecourt of the National Service Secretariat here in Accra. However, speaking to Asaase News, the director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, explained that the centers are opened in batches and intends to allow a smooth rollout plan. He added that plans are underway to welcome more vaccines in the country. Also, he says the severity with COVID-19 reported cases have shown a steady decline for some time now. Per the current COVID-19 statistics, the country's epic curve is gradually taking a nosedive. Dr. Kumar-Boaji made this known at the Ministry of Information's COVID-19 briefing on Monday and is, however, urging members of the public not to be complacent with the new feat, but now more than ever continue to strictly adhere to the COVID-19 safety protocols.
As of the 6th of March, total on admission is about 177. We have critical cases of 25, severe 66, and 86 of them are moderate cases. And this is depicted in the next chart that shows a gradual decline, but slow but steady decline in the number of admissions, the number who are critically ill, and of course the number who are severely affected. The epic curve continues to show a decline, and so we hope that it will continue. And if you look at the next slide, which gives us the golden average, you can see that also pointing downwards, and we hope that we continue doing that. But that is so because of the things we are doing. This is not to make people complacent. We are down because a relatively high number are wearing masks. And we hope that if you continue with the introduction of vaccine, you should see a much steeper reduction than we are having.
Dr. Kumar Buaji gave a further breakdown on the country's COVID-19 case count, saying the Greater Accra region continues as the region with the highest coronavirus cases, which currently stands at 48,282.
We have so far recorded about 86,737 cases. We tested about 930,000 people across the country with about 29,973 per million population test done, with a cumulative positivity of 9.3. We have so far discharged about 81,000 out of them. We have recorded, unfortunately, 656 deaths with a case fatality rate of 0.76%. That is still high, but looking at the global average of 2%, that still means that I would say management has been good, or Ghanaians have been spared a lot of the havoc that other countries have had. Currently, our total active cases is about 4,782 cases. Currently, all 16 regions and 252 districts have ever reported.
You heard Dr. Patrick Kumar Buaji, the director of the Ghana Health Service.
Now, away from COVID issues, manager responsible for dispatch operations at the Systems Control Center of the Ghana Grid Company, Stephen Debra, has attributed some difficulties faced in supply of power to low level of water at the Bui Dam. Some people have complained of intermittent interruption of power supply in recent times until last Sunday, when the country experienced a nationwide blackout for over 4 hours. Speaking on the Asaase Breakfast Show, Mr. Debra said inadequate rainfall last year has contributed to the issues of interruption in power supply.
When we are dispatching the power plant to supply electricity to customers, you must do it strategically that the power will be stable. This requires a certain amount of generation from Akotombu, from Seman, from Abuaze, and then from Bui. If you are porting the power like that, then the system becomes very stable. But coming into last year, we did not have enough quantity of rainfall that we normally used to have. So consequently, the water in the Bui level way down has run down. So it was under such condition that when the fault occurred, then it was the same at risk. But normally, when there is enough water in the Bui Dam, we are running as we have allocated the power to the various locations that are just described. This wouldn't have happened.
You had a manager responsible for dispatch operations at the Systems Control Center of the Ghana Grid Company, GridCo, Stephen Debra.
Well, it's now time for sports, and Benedict Owusu joins us with the latest.
Yes, good afternoon, guys. Now, some of the Black Allies players have been assured promotion to the senior national team following their triumph as they just ended Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations in Mauritania. Now, the team won their 4th trophy after beating Uganda, and Ghana FA Vice President Makado has told the players those who excelled will have a smooth transition to the senior level in the coming years.
We at the FA will continue to support you. We will continue to support youth football, and I was speaking to the president and the technical director, and the good news is that from the performance that you've shown, some of you will make it to the senior national team. I think it's a model that we want to continue to build, we want to develop so that those behind you will always see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So when you are playing, you know that there's opportunity ahead of you as well. You have the best opportunities that are available to us.
So that was Mark Addo, who is Vice President of the Ghana Football Association. Elsewhere, there is UEFA Champions League action tonight with Borussia Dortmund up against Sevilla, and Juventus will take on FC Porto. Remember, these are second leg games with all teams in a pole position to make the next stage of the competition, that is the quarterfinals. And away from that, Germany have announced their national team coach Joachim Löw will step down as coach of the team after the next Euros, which kicks off in June. So who is likely to be his replacement? We'll wait to see. That's a sport.
Thank you very much, Benedict Owusu.
Well, in African news, the National Association of Resident Doctors has threatened to go on strike over the failure of the federal government to address their demands and implement the agreement reached with the association last year. In a communique issued on Tuesday and signed by NARD President Dr. Uwela Okoshunyu, after a virtual national executive meeting, the association resolved to proceed on a recess after their demands are not acceded to by the government. Among their demands include immediate payment of the salaries of members, the payment of all minimum wages and the salary arrears to its members nationwide without further delay in the immediate implementation of 50% of consolidated basic salary as hazard allowance for all health workers in Nigeria.
And participants from ECOWAS, the United Nations and the African Union in the sub-region are appealing to Mali's transitional leaders to respect the planned roadmap expected to lead to smooth presidential polls next year. The second meeting of the group in support of Mali ended in the Togolese capital, Lomé, yesterday. Our correspondent, Ekwe Blame, has more.
According to the statement of the meeting, the functioning of all the institutions of the transition is a significant guarantee of the success of the current process in Mali. The meeting also welcomed the immediate disbursement of more than $57 million granted by the International Monetary Fund in support of the economic reforms planned by the current leaders of Mali. The statement also called on the international community to provide Mali with the technical and financial support necessary for the implementation of the transition roadmap and the government action plan. On behalf of the Malian government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Zeni Moulay, reassured the partners that if everything goes on well as planned, the presidential polls will be held in March 2022. For Asaase Radio, this is Ekwe Blame reporting from Lomé, Togo.
And back here in the studios, my name is Karen Dodu. And in the lunch news, it came to you live from our studios here at Cantonment and our headlines.
To our headlines, 2 survivors of a Palm Beach drowning incident treated and discharged as search and rescue mission goes on for remaining 6.
And Food and Drugs Authority warns against the purchase of COVID-19 vaccines online following seizure of fake vaccines in South Africa. Many thanks for your time. My name is Karen Dodu.
I'm Nana Joy Hagen.
There's more news on AsaaseRadio.com. Good afternoon.
If you just missed the news, we know exactly how that feels, and you're not alone.